Students and everyone from all over the world, welcome back. We are now in phase 5 part 2 of factoring quadratic expressions. So I've kind of defined that in the last video, and we're going to have a trinomial 3 terms. And because this is part 2 of 2, I'm only going to give you 2 examples for now. I'll give you some tips, some pointers, because I don't want you guys listing down every single little pair from the previous video. And then afterwards, just like the last video of part 1 of 2 of phase 5, I'm going to give you guys 4 practice problems. That's the point in time where you're going to pause the video, you're going to grab a piece of paper, try to do it on your own. And then afterwards, you can release that pause button and see if you have the correct answer. And I'm going to do the work eventually afterwards. Okay. If you have not watched factoring quadratic expressions phase 4 and phase 5 part 1 of 2, it's just highly recommended that you watch those videos first. Okay, because you might get you might get just a little bit lost. I'm not too sure. Okay, but you know what, if you just want to watch it, I guess you can just watch it. Okay, I'll give you the 2 examples. We're going to check our work just like the last video, and let's just go from there, you guys. Okay, so here's your example number 1. Okay, again, just coming from the last video, we have a trinomial, the 2n squared plus 5n minus 12. The first question I've asked you was, can we factor out a 2? Can we factor out that a value, divide out a 2, and we cannot, just because 5 divided by 2 is going to be 2.5, and we don't want any decimals with that. Okay, so we're going to make a barrier like this. This is going to be our goal. The 5n, positive 5n, what 2 numbers multiply together to make 2n squared? The only way to split that up is going to be 2n and n. Okay. Alright, on the last video, if you have noticed, part 1 of 2, I've only made it so that this last term, this number over here, is always positive, like positive 12 or positive 36. So now part 2 of 2 for phase 5 is, what if you have a negative number at the last number, the last term? Okay, it's a negative 12. So that means you cannot just have 2 positive or 2 negative numbers. One has to be positive and the other one got to be negative. Okay, so you have negative 6 and 2. There's also a possibility that 6 and negative 2 could work out. So notice that these are 2 different pairs multiplied together to make negative 12. Okay, just like on phase 4 and phase 5, part 1 of 2, we're now going to select which numbers that we're going to multiply together and then add them up just to make sure that we get the 5n that we want. Okay, so I'm just going to go really trial and error for this example, and this example is going to be longest just because we're going to go trial and error on this one. Let's try 2n times negative 6 plus n times 2. Okay, this is negative 12n plus 2n. This is negative 10n. This is not what we want. No. Okay. All right. Don't knock off this pair just yet, because you could have multiplied 2n with the 2. So let's try that. 2n times 2 instead, plus n times negative 6. Okay. Let's see if it comes out to the positive 5n. This is going to be 4n plus negative 6n, which is going to give us negative 2n, and no. That's not the 5n that we want. We're going to cross that one out. Okay, so we've used this pair already. This pair does not work, so let's just see if this one works. If it doesn't work, then we're just going to list out more numbers, 2 numbers to make negative 12. Okay, so I'm just exhausting this list. Let's try the 2n times 6 plus n times negative 2, and then after a while, I think a lot of you guys are already seeing what I'm trying to do here. I'm really trying to figure out which pair is going to give me that positive 5n, but right now it's not working with these numbers, especially with the 6 and 2. And sometimes you have a gut feeling about this too. Yeah, this is going to be a no. Okay. I need to grab another piece of paper. So, I'm just showing you, sometimes it might take some time for these. Let's just see if we can try 2n with the negative 2 over here. Let me bring this down. After a while, sometimes like when you keep doing these kind of problems, you kind of have a gut feeling that maybe a pair might not work out. And, yeah, and if you don't produce that gut feeling, that's totally fine. It's okay to just do trial and error. This is 2n, we're 3 off from the 5n that we want. Okay, so this is a no. So now we know the 6s and the 2s just will not work at all. Okay, then the next step is you just need to find other pairs that multiply together to make -12. And so maybe we could use 4 and -3. There's also a combination of -4 and 3. Okay, I'm actually going to help you choose the right one just for video purposes only. You're seeing what I'm trying to do is trying to do trial and error just to get that positive 5n. And so the correct pair that you're going to do is 2n with the 4 and then the n with the -3. Okay, let's just check to make sure that those pairings do work. Okay, 2n times 4 plus n times -3. Okay, 8n plus -3n. Yeah, and that's going to give us the 5n that we want. So this is a yes. Okay, so this is what we want. All right. Okay, just like in the last video, once you find the pair, then everything's going to be almost autopilot almost, especially if you've practiced phase 5, part 1 of 2, where to put the first pair after you put the 2 parentheses. Kind of sound like, on Dora the Explorer. There's no one here. Anyway, I'm just going to remind you guys that, the first pair goes on the outer parts of the parentheses. Okay, so this is a positive 4. We're going to put plus 4 over here. And then the second pair that works, just make sure they go on the inside, but the n, the second variable goes on the second parentheses, just so that you have variables on both of the parentheses. This is a -3, so -3, so it's going to be a -3. Okay, all right. Before we box this, we definitely should just check our work. Okay. Just like on the last video, how are we going to check our work? I showed you on the last video 2 methods you can do FOIL or box. I'm just going to repeat it again. It's just so important, just because of course if your teacher gives you an exam or a test based on this, you're not going to have an answer key to check back, or talk to your neighbors if it's not a team quiz or team test like that. Okay, so we're going to use FOIL. Again, FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, and last. So your first is going to be 2n times n. Your outer is going to be 2n times 4. Okay, just be careful for your inner, because it's a -3. Really treat it as a negative. So this is going to be -3 times n. And then your last, again, treat it as a -3 times 4. Okay. So this is going to be 2n squared plus 8n plus a -3n plus a -12. Again, these 2 pairs over here should look very, very, actually it should be the same as what you have been trying to solve for the middle term, trying to get that middle term. Okay, so these 2 pairs should be the same if done correctly. Plus a -12, we can just make that as a -12. And is this the problem that we started off with at the very beginning? We just got to look back. Okay, 2n squared plus 5n minus 12. Yep, that's the problem. Okay, so now we know that this is in fact the answer for example number 1. Okay, 2n minus 3 parentheses times n plus 4. Okay, all right, I'm just going to do one more example, and then after that it's going to be for you guys to do 4 more examples, 4 more problems for you guys to do if you choose to do so. Okay, can we factor out a 5? No, because -24 and -36 are not multiples of 5. If you're going to divide these 2 by 5 and take it out, you're going to have a decimal. Okay, so we're going to make that barrier. Our n goal is a -24n. How do we spell out 5n squared? It's going to be 5n and n. Okay. Remember, if you have a -36, really treat that as a negative, okay? All right. Here are some possible pairs: -9 and 4, 9 and -4, just because you have a negative, okay? and then let's just kind of, you know, try some of these things out, okay? And I'm actually not going to try every single pair because I think after a while you guys get it, especially if you've been watching my videos. You know, this is really, again, just trial and error. Let's just try 5n times -9. I'm sorry. Okay, 5n times -9, and then we're going to add that with n times 4. And let's see if that works. If it doesn't work, we do another combination. That's really what this trial and error method is all about. And I think your teachers will call also this, will call this method also reverse FOIL, okay? Anyway, -45n plus 4n is going to give us -41n, and that's going to be a no, okay? Because we want a -24n, so that's not it. Okay, so you're going to keep doing this process, all right? I'm going to let you guys know, I'm just going to speed this up, that the 9s and 4s, the -9s and -4s, they're not going to work out at all. And actually, for the correct pairing, actually, is going to be -6 and 6. So just be careful because, you know, some of the numbers like -36 are going to have multiple pairs of numbers that multiply to that. And that's what makes these type of problems just a little bit longer to do because you're really just trying to guess and check in some of these things, okay? The -24n will be made by these pairs, 5 times -6, because that's going to be -30, and then when we add that to that +6, that's going to give us a -24. Here, let's just write it out, okay? 5n times -6 plus n times 6. This is -30n plus 6n, okay? Yeah, this is -24n, okay? So this is a yes, right? Okay, again, you know, some students, they think the answer is this one over here. So I'm just gonna, again, put a no, just like on the first video. Some students are just gonna go 5n minus 6, n plus 6. And you know what, and if you really wanna make sure it does work, then you gotta check using FOIL or box method, but it's not gonna work, okay? So really follow the methods that I've taught over the videos. So just be careful. Just remember that the first pair that works, that needs to go on the outside. Okay? And then the second pair that works, that goes in the inner portions of the parentheses, the two parentheses, just making sure that the variable is over here on the second parentheses, since we already have a variable here. And this is a +6. Okay? All right, this is our potential answer, but of course, if you know, don't be too comfortable, let's just go check our work, okay? 5n plus 6, sorry, I gotta look at this one back, n minus 6. Okay, just like on the last video, some schools, especially my school, like to do what's called box methods. Let me just show you how this works again. It's a little bit structured for some of my students. They like to do this. And then a good half of my other students like to do FOIL. So it really doesn't matter because you're just going to come out to the same answer for both methods anyway, if you do it correctly. 5n plus 6 will go over here. You make a 2x2 box. N minus 6 goes over here. And just like FOIL, you're just going to multiply inside the boxes. 5n times n is 5n squared. 6 times n is going to be positive 6n. 5n times -6 is -30n. And in the last video I made a mistake on this one, so I just gotta make sure that I say it correctly, because on the last video I said 4 times 2 is 4 times 8 was 2, and then I mixed those numbers around. So anyway, -6 times 6 is going to be -36. Okay, all right. Usually these diagonals can combine; they are like terms. So your final answer is 5n squared. Okay, -30n plus 6n is going to be -24n. So that's the like term over there, the like terms. And then don't forget the -36. And yes, it matches to the original problem that we had for example number 2. So this is really our answer for this example. Okay. Let me go give you guys some tips first, and then after that, I will give you guys some 4 problems for you guys to do. Okay. You know, tips for phase 5 factoring. I think this is like a very crucial part in your algebra learning, because it's going to be used throughout, like, you know, some of the higher math if you choose to decide to go into some of the higher math. So some of my tips for you: see if you can do some of your calculations in your head, and you know, it's just so that you're avoiding to write a lot. What I mean by this is, like, you know, sometimes like numbers like -36, you could be listing down forever. Okay, so some of you guys are a little bit good, a little bit better with your multiplication tables. See which ones that you can probably put in your head if you can. Okay, if you can. If you still need to list it down, go ahead and do it just so that you're on the safer side. Okay, but definitely all of you guys, at least write down the pairs that actually work, that actually gave you that middle term. You need to at least write that because you're going to use that. Okay, you're going to list down 2 pairs at a time, just like how I did in some of the examples. You know, I listed down -9 and 4, 9 and -4. Yeah, I kind of skipped over on this one. On example number 1, I only listed down 2 at a time. And then since those 2 didn't work, then you try the next pair, because you don't want to be listing down every single little thing when maybe the second pair worked. Okay, because if the second pair worked, then you stop listing. Okay, so list the pairs 2 at a time for the last term, and then list more if those don't work. So those are just going to be my tips for you guys, just so that you know you don't spend like 2 hours on these type of problems. Okay, all right, here are for you guys to do some of the some 4 factoring problems that's related to this video. Okay, 7x squared plus 19x minus 36, 2x squared minus 15x minus 50, 5n squared plus 16n minus 45. And then this is a b, sorry, it kind of looks like a 6, yeah. 7b squared minus 8b minus 12. So please pause the video, okay? So I'm going to write it, okay? Pause the video. Grab a piece of paper. Please try to do this on your own. I am actually going to run this video for maybe 15 seconds of silence, and then I'm going to do each one after those 15-20 seconds. Okay, your turn, go. Okay, you have probably unpaused the video. I don't know, you probably even just let it roll, you know, it's totally fine. Maybe some of you guys are just running out of time, and so again, I will show you guys how to do this one. You know, I'm just so used to just making the barrier, but you know, just in my head, I know that you can't divide, you know, you can't do 36 divided by 7 because 36 is not a multiple of 7, so you're not going to do that. Okay, how do you make 7x squared? It's just going to be 7x and x. Okay, you know, there are different ways to make a negative 36. Okay, we can go -6 and 6. You can go -9 and 4, 9 and -4, and then you're going to just do trial and error on that. But just because this section is all about answers, I'm just going to give you the correct pair. I do want you guys to, this would be the correct pair, 7x times 4, and the x times okay, I'm just going to do some confirmation. 28x plus -9x. Again, if you're not too strong with your integers like that, use a calculator. It is going to be 19x, the one that we want. Okay, all right. 2 parentheses, just space it out. I'm kind of going autopilot already. First pair goes on the outside. And then second pair goes on the inside. All right, I'm going to check this just using the box method. I'm not going to check every single problem. That will be for you guys to do if you decide to do so. So 7x minus 9. So those 2 go over here. And then the x plus 4. That goes on the side over here. So this is going to be 7x squared. You're going to multiply. X times -9 is -9x. 7x times 4 is positive 28x. And then -9 times 4 is -36. Okay. These 2 will almost always be like terms. And then 28x minus 9x will give us the positive 19x. Notice that they are similar to what you have been trying to solve for, that middle number, that middle term. Okay, minus 36, and that is the original problem. So this is our answer over here. Okay. All right, I gotta go faster on this one because, like I said, it's gonna cut me off in 25 minutes. Okay, all right. Can't divide these by 2, so 2x and x, negative 50. Well, we do have some options, 5 and negative 10. You can keep listing, you know, a lot of things, negative 5 and 10. Shoot, even 2 and negative 25 could work too, but the correct pair is going to be 2x with the negative 10, because that's going to be negative 20, and then you add that with the positive 5. You're going to get that. I'm going to write this. It works, and so first pair goes on the outside. It is a negative 10, so we're going to write it as minus 10. Okay. Second pair go on the inside. Okay, positive 5. If you want to check, let's just do the FOIL method on this one here. Okay, first is 2x times x, outer 2x times negative 10, so really incorporate that as a negative. Inner 5 times x. I am just running out of room, plus last 5 times negative 10. Okay, sorry about that, I'm just running out of room. And then if you notice, of course, then your two middle terms should be the same thing as how you were trying to solve that negative 15. Okay, 2x times x is going to be 2x squared. 2x times negative 10 is negative 20x. 5 times x is positive 5x. The last is going to give us negative 50. And yes, these two are going to combine to negative 15x. Okay, so this is the answer that we want. All right, I'm not going to check the work on the last two, so I'm just going to give you guys, you know, like this almost super quick answers for the last two. Okay, so for the last two, the 5 and the negative 45, there are a bunch of pairings that you could do, but the, well, not a bunch. Sorry, you have a couple pairings that you can do, but the correct pairing will be the 5n with the 5 and the n with the negative 9. I'm just going to write that out. Because over here is going to be 25n plus negative 9n, and then 25 plus a negative 9 is just going to be positive 16n. This is what we want. So you're multiplying 5n minus 9 times n plus 5 quantity, okay, with that parentheses. All right, the last problem is going to be this. We can't divide factor out of 7. These are not multiples of 7. We have negative 12. This one you do have a bunch, okay. You can go negative 6 and 2. We can also go 6 and negative 2. I'm actually going to just stop over there. Yes, there's 4 and negative 3. But the pairing that will work is going to be 7b with the negative 2, because that's negative 14. And then we're going to add that with the positive 6. That's going to give us the negative 8. I'm going to write it down anyway. Okay, remind me not to use the letter B anymore, just because it looks like the number 6. Okay, negative 14b plus 6b. Yeah, sometimes it could throw off. It looks like, you know, 6, 6. Okay. All right, this is negative 8b, which we want. All right, you're just going to take off the colors. Okay, this is it for phase 5.